we got a letter in the mail like May 5th, 5 days after the thing was announced, I guess, and it was in the paper right around then too. And then they had called one of the landowners that same day or the day before, right, and then like the 4th of May is how we had heard about it. And basically we just wanted to know more about it. We didn't really quite understand why they were approaching us to cut a road through, because they had access, we assumed, on other sides of the area. And then just when we started looking at the plan, just kind of questioned some of the stuff that was in there. It just seemed so broad that they could do anything almost if they wanted to. And we just thought that really the plan ought to be more precise with really what are the economics of the sale of the logs, and how they're going to repair after they come in and get the logs, because right now it's really a rough area, woods and just a few trails cut through it. And we thought after a bunch of roads were cut through there for loggers, it was really going to change the dynamics of the woods.
They vary, they get bigger. I mean, some are leaves are big, some are smaller. Where's the actual the same spacing system?
But they have the same like pattern.
Yeah, it is. And then but the bark is very different.
Well, we do really like it out here. We think it's one of the most open areas left in Boone County as far as not being developed. It's all woods out here. There's a few old logging roads, or there's a few old homesteads that are back up in here, but really it's a pretty isolated spot in southern Boone County. That's a really big area. If you look on Google Maps and stuff, it's really a pretty big area, and it's so close to Jeff City and Columbia that we ought to try to, whatever the best way to protect this area is all I'm after. We're right about here, and we're going to walk right out this way, aren't we, David?
Yeah.
You're not on the property yet.
No, not on the conservation.
But these parcels
We're right
that are
left us
circled,
here. The dark ones are the ones that they said they wanted to come in from here, because there's a big valley. They can't
Yeah,
get. It's going to make it
right.
really hard for them to get up in here.
They'll probably wind up coming in from Jefferson Creek Road up these ridge.
Or they
That is-
want
they're
to.
so
They
steep.
would.
That's
What is the
talk to
problem?
Roger
Why do
about
they have to do this, they say?
management, isn't it?
Well, he badmouthed the evil maples are going to take over. If we don't do something, the evil
Well,
maples will
sugar is bad for you.
take over.
This is probably, well, this has
So-
got me and my wife.
So allow me, I'm still trying to wrap my mind around it. So this piece of land is being managed by the Conservation Department, the Department of
Well,
Conservation.
first of all, they bought it, which was great.
Well, yeah, so it's here. So then, and there are multiple sites like this around the state, and they go in routinely and do what you're now saying we don't want you to do. So, bear with me. So is this a case of, in this situation, we have some observant and conscientious and alert landowners nearby who are raising a stink, whereas normally maybe there's nobody around who really gives a dang.
that's true in one part, but also of the hundreds of conservation areas in the state, only a small subset are actually managed. Most of them are just left to their own devices because they're often out in the middle of nowhere,
Right.
and nobody cares about them, except the
Okay.
hunters. And for hunting, right, you don't really need to manage for hunting or for deer habitat. It's kind of a natural thing, right? In the state of Missouri, deer habitat's everywhere. So most of them are, I wouldn't say neglected, but aren't given much attention.
Another thing that's put into the mix is that most conservation areas are in rural areas where there are not populations who want to use that land for recreation or other, going back, getting into nature kind of purposes.
Right.
And this one happens to be close to Columbia and
Right.
Jefferson City.
Okay.
And
So this
And
gives
the
more,
trail.
yeah, okay, so
And-
it serves
and
more
the
people
trail.
potentially.
So
Yeah.
potentially
Yeah.
is something to tilt the balance away
Right.
from resource extraction and putting it in terms of recreation and nature experience.
Okay.
Well, maybe this, what happens here, maybe some resistance or encouragement of stewardship can maybe inspire people elsewhere around the state.
The biggest concern that we have here is the roads that they're going to be putting in, which does a lot of damage, with their idea of what trees to extract. That's going to do a lot of damage, and then using these chemicals to destroy areas because they deem that those are bad areas and we want other trees to be growing there. So that's the concern. and then the concern about chemicals in the water.
The heavy machines would be
Right.
moved across the land and tear it
Yeah.
up,
Right.
and
So it would be
chemicals
just
they
basically
use to kill the stumps
physical
once
and
they cut
And the
the trees
amount
down.
of removals they'll have, because it's
Right.
not very explicit, just how many trees they would
It's
remove.
kinda wide
right?
Since they can't get it from our, we're not going to, we don't want them tearing up this road, so they're
Right.
going to have to build another road basically crossing the creek over there, where it's going to be really hard for them. Or a real steep hill, and there's no way they'll do it without really damaging it.
This is fairly this is part of the area that they've circled, and this is fairly typical of this slope, this degree of slopedness here is fairly typical of all of the areas that they've circled for logging.
No. If they say they want to clear cut this entire place, then I think that's really idiotic.
Well, we don't
right?
know.
This is right. That's why we need to check. So we have our bounds, right? You know, some things make sense here, other things don't.
Well, like on the other side, there's this big row of giant oak trees when you come up the road from the parking lot. And that's just really
Yeah, but it's pretty woody
right
back
in
there.
the road.
I mean, he's not an endangered owl,
They love my
but
house. Wildlife.
There's a happy turtle that won't get run over.
Here,
in the
taking care of
road.
mom for a little bit.
Oh, what a great spider. Wow. That is good. You're right. It's camo.
And then they would have to come down. So they basically
Then
got
there's
to come
flowers
down with a
show up.
bulldozer, don't they? Basically, you clear a path with a bulldozer, you get one of these big
Well,
wheel things
and
in
that's
here.
a good thing. And when there's an opportunity for more public comment, to ask, how are you going to get the skidder in here, right? The
Yeah, I mean,
skidder
it's
is the
got-
thing that's going
we
to do the
came
damage.
easiest way.
Right. So
to
how
back
would you get it
into
in?
here.
How many tons of gravel are they planning
Right,
to
they
dump?
would have to come down
Good
through here.
question.
In the creek.
Well, what you
Thing.
can do is ask the regional or
That's
the
why you should
district forester, area forester, whatever their title is, to have a little session.
That's what I
out
did.
here.
They don't do
Here.
it. I asked
They
them
don't
that
bring you
already.
out here?
They don't have a public hearing. I said, "Can I have
Yeah.
a meeting in Ashland or somewhere out there?" And they said, "We don't do that." That's what the local guy.
Okay,
Here's-
then
Well, we
that's
can
when you
show up.
contact Sarah
Well,
Parker
that's
Park.
when I started
yeah.
saying, "All right,
Yeah.
well then we're going to ask for the extension."
Nobody knows why these kind of bubble things form. It's our latest mystery.
Gravity.
Nobody knows why those form.
Not a plural or a...
No,
What's your theory?
I think it's a pathogen that's under the bark, causing the cells maybe a little bit to form. It's not killing the tree. It's just causing the cells to grow weird.
Like cancer?
Like a little tumor.
Yeah,
But then it
knob on my
heals.
back.
Yeah, but then it heals.
Yeah.
Hardwood is one of those species that say they live backside, not face. They reach the side, couldn't live in the shade.
I had said before I wouldn't mind if we cut some logs and we do it with, let's do some old-fashioned ways of coming in here with horses and show how you can really do it without damaging any of the property around it and leaving no trace behind. I was a Boy Scout, and my son's a Boy Scout, or was, and we believe in not leaving signs of a lot of human activity in the woods.